Everybody again. Wait a minute, I have to turn this on. Kathy Hamilton, our board commissioner who's with us today, and I believe Cynthia Gibson, the new board commissioner, is going to come a little later. You may be in breakout groups then, but we'll get you introduced to her. You received the November meeting minutes for review. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If not, were they approved? Good. Okay, today I want to briefly discuss the item that we previously put on the parking lot list, and then we're going to have a discussion about KUB's customer notifications with a focus on outage notifications, and you have that packet at your place. I did send you an email as a follow-up to the request that HQ made about updates on your input being provided to the board as an item on their board agenda. And the summary that I also emailed you is also at your place today. And if you have not had a chance to send back any comments or to review it, if you could please do that, that would be great by March the 6th, because we'd like to present it to the board at their March 23rd meeting. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, please do that and let Liz know by the 6th. Today is a little different. The staff's going to be asking you for input prior to launching a new outage notification system for KUB. And the feedback that you give today is really going to go to the staff that are working on this project so they can incorporate it and then present it to the board in a number of months or whenever they're ready to do that. So you're kind of like a focus group today. And before we start and go into our groups, Tiffany, who you know, who's the Vice President and Chief Customer Officer, she's going to briefly discuss highlights of KUB's customer notification process and describe the project that you're going to be commenting on today. Tiffany?
Thank you. Good to see everyone. I've not been at the meetings the last couple of months, so it's good to see everybody's faces today. As Dawn mentioned, I'm just going to start out by talking just briefly about some of the methods by which we communicate with customers and inform them of things. And then the primary focus will be really trying to get your input on how we should communicate with customers in outage situations. We recognize that that's an important part of the experience with our customers, and we want to really understand your expectations as a customer and the expectations of the customer populations that you all represent here. So we're hoping you'll give us some good feedback as we are trying to enhance how we communicate with customers during outages. But ahead of this meeting, you all received a handout to kind of review some of the common ways that we communicate with customers. And so I'm just going to spend some time briefly reviewing that with you all, and feel free to ask me questions that you may have about the particular methods that we utilize today. Obviously, every customer likes to receive information in different ways, and so our goal is to try to provide information through different channels and at different times, depending on what type of content that we are providing to a customer. We have found that social media in this world is definitely something that is used commonly by a lot of people, but not everyone, and so we do use social media quite a bit. If you all don't follow us, we encourage you to, because a lot of updates on programs that we have available, things that we're doing in the community, events that we may be having, as well as just relevant, timely information. So just today, we had a water main break in an area of town, and so we posted a timely post about traffic in that area, what was happening, when that area would hopefully be restored. So we use social media quite often to make people aware of things that are going on, and they need to know that in real time. We are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and then we also post to Nextdoor pretty often. So our intent there is there are different audiences that use each of those social media channels. So we try to post in a multitude of areas there. As well as we do also have our mobile app and our website. Obviously, our website is going to draw people that are looking for specific information, so it is searchable. It's very easy to search for content on the website. So if you've heard about a program, or you might have happened to see something on our website, oftentimes if it's program-based, there will be a link to more information about that program that will take you to our customer website. The mobile app is a little bit more intended to be transactional, as well as it does provide some promotional panels, as we do have special programs that become available. And it's also a great tool for you to interact with your energy and water usage. So you're able to see as a customer what you're using on a daily, monthly, and weekly basis if you're using the mobile app, as well as the website has that functionality as well. So we encourage customers to sign up and utilize that, just really to learn more about your own personal usage patterns. Because the more information you have about what you're doing inside your home, it helps you best understand how you can make adjustments or changes, or much like I said, the promotional panels there provide information about programs or special things that can be done to save and do other things there. I think in your packets that you got ahead of time, as well as today, we did provide some information on how to actually register for an online account with KUB. So if you haven't registered, I encourage you all to do that. It's a good way to just see those tools that I mentioned with regard to usage information, as well as billing information is available online also. And once you have an online account, you can sign up for that online through the website or through the mobile app, and you can interact with both of those pieces of technology once you have a KUB.org account. Now, sometimes we need to be more direct with our communication with customers, whether that might mean there is a program that we know specifically a customer might be eligible for or be a good candidate to try a program. A good example of that, we've talked about time of use before in the past. We've done direct mailings to customers that we thought would benefit from time of use. So that's a good way of use of us sending out a direct postcard or direct letter about something. We also send information in direct mail pieces about potential leaks or additional water usage that seem unusual for someone. So that might come in a direct mail piece or an automated phone call. So again, we're just really trying to touch people in different ways depending on the scenario and whether action needs to be taken or if it's really just more informative and just information that we want to make sure that they're aware of. And then the other piece that everybody's going to get access to is the bill. So whether you are a paperless customer where you receive all of your bills online, or you're receiving a mailed version of the bill, we do provide bill messages on every billing notification. It's on the first page of every bill. There's usually 1 to 2 relevant messages. It can be about an assistance program. It can be about how to safely dig around utility lines. It will also feature programs that we might have available for billing. So it's really a good source of just having relevant, timely information month to month. In addition to that, we also have a section on the bill geared towards savings information. So every month we provide an energy or a water savings tip for customers. So again, just another way to get information in front of customers that need it. So those are kind of the primary ways that we communicate with customers. From time to time, we do email campaigns for the customers that we have email addresses for. We hope to grow in that space. We don't use that as regularly as some of these other methods that we've talked about. So I'll stop there. I've said a lot. I'll stop there and see if you all have any questions about that before we talk about the outage process.
How does that relate to commercial and industrial customers? Do they have multiple users who can access the same account information?
They do have login information, much like a residential customer. It will depend on the size of that entity as to how many people really have that login information and utilize it, but it is generally one user account. Now, if you have multiple addresses that can be tied to one account, you can see them all on that same account that you log into. I would say UT probably has multiple people there that can log in and take a look. And then with UT's a great example. They have a tremendous amount of accounts with us, a lot of meters, a lot of information. So oftentimes they interface with our key account staff to get even more in-depth information about their billing information beyond even what they can see online from that system. But good question.
You've got usage, so for water, electricity, how does the usage work for fiber. Are there caps on the fiber usage?
There
No.
are
Okay, so
not.
there's no need for metering.
No.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm trying, HQ, I'm trying.
You're welcome.
How detailed is the usage information available online?
It is very detailed, so you can look at your usage for each of the services that we provide to you, daily, weekly. You can actually look hourly if you wanted to. So oftentimes when we do leak calls or increased consumption, doesn't necessarily mean you have a leak. We can pinpoint for that customer exactly at what hour of the day, on the day that it started, that we believe something changed within their home. So it's very detailed. You can get to pretty detailed information from day to day.
Can you just talk a little bit about SMS and voicemails?
Sure. So we use text messages primarily today for notifying customers that have registered to receive information about when their bill is available to be reviewed and when their due date is closed. So just as an additional reminder. We also provide text messages related to outages, and so we'll talk a little bit about that today. We've not rolled that out to a broad audience at this point, and that's the reason why we want to get your feedback before we start to roll it out to a larger audience. We'd really like to understand what your expectations are with regard to those types of notifications. The other things that you can be text and emailed about are usage. So you can actually place thresholds within the system. So if you know that you use 35 kilowatts a day in electricity, then you can set a notification to let you know when you've exceeded that on a daily basis. So again, it's just another way for you to understand what you're using and to have a little bit more control about what's happening inside your home or business.
How long has that feature been available?
It's been available for a while. It's actually utilized more than you think. But again, another reason why we want to get your feedback on, as we're rolling out the outage notifications, it's another opportunity for us to say, well, hey, let's tell you about the other tools that we have where we can notify you of things. And so we'd like your feedback on how do we get the word out about some of these tools that we offer to our customers.
I think this actually is really exciting. And I was looking for this before I came over, but I couldn't find it in my computer. And one reason it's exciting to me is that this is a communication that will enhance your relationship with younger people. And old people like me sometimes have trouble with social communications and stuff. Fortunately, I have a grandson in the house that I can usually ask for advice. But the piece of paper I was looking for was a statement by the Sierra Club that said that, at least potentially, the relationship between environmental groups and publicly owned utilities was one of the most important tools we have to deal with climate change. And one of the things it pointed out was that enhancing the relationship between the user and the utility was an important part of that. And when you said, like, this is like telling people about outages and water leaks and stuff, that's just step one. And if that's the case, then I think that's very exciting, because I don't know what the latest on this is, but Mike Boland at an earlier meeting said that there wasn't an awful lot of response to the time of use system. And the time of use system could be a huge benefit to people. And I was just in Nashville bugging people about doing things to incentivize more electric driving. Actually, they're going in the wrong direction over there. But I think that once one has an electric vehicle, that automatically intensifies the relationship between the user and the utility. And once they know about time of use, it can be a tremendous advantage to the user. So there other programs will come along as green energy and other green stuff starts to be more broadly implemented. And so this is a vehicle for enhancing that relationship. And with some of the stuff like the apps and the SMS and all that. Gives people the opportunity to talk back, which means there's a dialogue going on. So I think all that is fantastic, and there are ways that this could be great that we haven't even thought of.
Sure, absolutely. And that's part of the reason why we want your feedback today. As you said, this is just the start of things. I think as we get better and better at communicating, utilizing these tools, it will open the door for us to use it for other things. We feel like improving that experience from an outage communication standpoint is a good place to start, because that's generally, we find that on social media especially, customers engage with us quite a bit in an outage situation, and so we know that if we enhance that relationship and that communication channel and learn from that, then there's other ways that we can utilize those tools. So,
A couple observations, comments. I forget. Oh, this turns on automatically. That's quite nice. I did not realize that. So, one, with the fact that you can get threshold levels, threshold notifications on if you exceed a certain usage. I don't think you guys have implemented this yet, but just an idea. If you can, much like a financial institution, track your past history like you already do, but then say you've reached now 75% of your last 2 years or year average usage, something like that. The moment that you can sort of show extra value in saying that we know you so well. Mm-hmm. We are one of the longest relationships you have had in Knoxville. Let us tell you about when you're going to hit that bill. But having a low threshold, that way we're not running the risk of, oops, right?
Sure.
Like, we said 75, but really it was 90, but at least it's still before. So that's like one brainstorming idea.
okay, sure, thank
To
you.
bring.
We are going to go into small groups, and that's what we want you to do in small groups.
Okay, gotcha.
And the staff has some very specific things that they need to find out from you as customers. So right now, if we can if you have a question, if something's not clear, and then we'll break into the small groups. Did you have more that you needed to share?
I was just basically gonna kind of open up the discussion about outage communication, so you all at least have kind of a baseline of what we're doing today. And then we do have some facilitators that are gonna be from our staff that are actually working on this project to actively improve our outage notification process, to meet with you all and ask some specific questions. And I think you're right, Dawn, HQ, if there are other things related to just notifications in general, definitely add those on, tack those on at the end of y'all's conversation, because I think us having that feedback is definitely worthwhile to us as an organization as we're thinking through how to communicate. All right, no problem. I don't know how many of you communicate with us today or learn about outages, but there's a couple of ways to learn about outages today with regard to how we communicate. So we do have an online outage map. If you haven't utilized it, I encourage you guys to. You'll hear me say that a lot. Like, we want you to use all these tools so that you can give us real-time feedback about them. But we do have an outage map, and so anytime there's an outage in our system, the meter technology that we have notifies us of an outage. And so as we receive those outages, then we're displaying that on our outage map online for customers to see. So long ago, a customer had to tell us about that outage very often, but now we know about it, and so we go ahead and push information out on that map to let customers know that that's happening. Because of that, customers can also call us through our automated phone system, use our mobile application, or go on our website to see the status of their outage, so that their home is out, how many other locations are affected. And if at that time we know when we estimate that it'll be resolved, we'll provide an estimated restoration time on the map there, as well as through that phone interaction. You can get that information back. We also have recently started allowing customers to sign up for notifications via text or email that will push that information out to them, text, email, or actually through mobile app push as well. We have not rolled that out directly to customers because we are still fine-tuning that and want to make sure that the things that we're communicating and the frequency by which we're communicating is what our customers prefer. So today, that's really what we want to spend some time talking with you all about, is as a customer, what are your expectations with regard to how we communicate with you in that way? And if the tools that we currently have with the outage map, as well as we frequently post outage information on our social media site and as well as our website. Is that helpful? If it's not, what can be better? If it is, tell us the things that you really appreciate and want to keep there in those channels. So with that, I'll let Dawn kind of turn us over to breaking out to small groups.
I have a question, now that I know the format.
Yeah.
Question, so we have different categorization of notifications,
Mm-hmm.
outage, billing, usage. Is there, have you guys considered, is there something for education purposes or this? is
Meaning
that-
education in terms of programs that we might
Yeah,
have?
that, or like, for instance, if there's a, I'm forgetting the LIHEAP, if a LIHEAP started, we can get applicants or have notifications for income assistance. And actually what I was thinking is that when we have the tree trimming programs, it's important to really get on the offensive on education before customers mind. But those are simple little things that over time. But would you be open to having another category of?
So I failed to mention, and so thank you for bringing that back up, HQ, especially related to vegetation management. We do go out ahead of those jobs that work, and we're doing circuit trimming. We do go out, we post door notices, as well as we do provide postcards for vegetation management, as well as construction. So if we're doing utility construction in your neighborhood, and we are going to impact your property and/or the properties around you, we will provide contact information for a customer support specialist that would be in the field as your direct contact if things aren't going in as expected, or if you just simply have questions. So we do direct mail related to that. We've not moved to doing that via text message or email, but that is our desire as well, and we feel like that will grow from us doing some work here related to the outage work.
The generation gap, that would
Yes.
be fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. Good question.
I have a question also. If somebody wants more information than they see on the website for usage, how do they get that information?
So we do have online a contact us address that you can interface with one of our customer service representatives that way, or you can always call us. But there are ways to get in touch with a customer service representative to learn more and get more detailed information if you know specifically what you'd like.
Okay.
Back in the fall, at one of our meetings, we used the small group process. And I like it for things like this because they want to get a lot of information out of you, and you'll each have more time to actually talk if you're broken up into groups. So we're going to do 2, and you will have a KUB facilitator, and I'll introduce them in a moment. But in each of your groups, you'll have one of those flip charts back there. If you'll pick somebody who's the recorder, who's recording your ideas down on the flip chart, and somebody who's going to be your spokesperson, because we'll report out after the 2 groups. This is a brainstorming session. All ideas are good ideas. There are no bad ideas, and you'll have about 30 minutes to do this. And our group facilitators, Josh Johnson. That's hard to say quickly. And Josh, you're going to have Kent, Aaron, and Amy. And since Amy, you are on crutches, there is one of the breakouts is right here. So that will be your group. And then Barry Jones is our second facilitator, and HQ and Tiki and Terry and Christina will go with him. And Liz or someone's going Barry, can you show the way to the little conference room that you're going to be going to? And that's going to be out that way. All right, so you got about 30 minutes. And
5 years, and so there's a whole sadness of like, oh, I have a friend.
No HQ left. I got Tiki, I got Terry, Chris, Kent. He left us for a second. Tiki, are you the spokesperson? As a team. All right, that's good. That's good. I like teams. All right, since you're all set up and ready, your team, tell us what you shared in KUB.
Do we have the questions? The questions?
Questions are at the top.
Pardon?
The list of questions.
The way we understood question number 1 is how do we learn about outages? We said the map is good. Suggestions to improve the map.
So-
Maybe not always, go ahead.
Yeah, just a comment was that potentially on a phone, looking at the map on the phone may be kind of difficult for people to zoom in. So possibly, I don't know if there's a way, this stuff maybe was kind of over our head, but if there's a way to know whenever it's, based on the screen resolution or something that it's going to be difficult to read, maybe having a list of the communities or something that's a little bit more easy to find the information that, and the information that generally you want to know when you go there is that, do you know that my community was impacted or that my house was impacted? So with a link to the map.
I think we were talking about also in this was the platform. If it's a computer screen, you get all of that good space, you can see everything, but if it's on a phone, you might not be able to zoom in and zoom out as good as you would see all of that on a different type of platform. So that was one of the things that came out of that as well. Yeah, and that's that one. Here, how would you like to be notified? Unanimously, it was text to be notified.
For an outage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for an outage. Oh. We talked about the elderly, meaning that mama may not be tech savvy. Is there a way to, when she's notified, that it goes to a secondary person to find out, what mama's getting, they know too, or the neighbor or somebody, whoever they put on that list to say, notify, we talked about that one. I think that's that one.
Yeah, so, and that would just be that in the text notification, clarifying which address, because some people may be on multiple addresses, or if you're getting a notification on behalf of someone else, to know what that address is for.
How soon? Was that for updates or, yeah? Yesterday, no, I'm joking. As soon as possible, of course. And I think part of that follow-up to that question was how often after you get the initial notification, how often? And we had some mixed conversation on that one. 5 minutes, and I don't want it too soon. If you give me a 2 to 4 hour window, and you know it's going to be, when you find out it's going to be 6 hours, don't notify me at, 3 hours and 59 minutes. You knew that, so update me on that one. It's not like I guess the cable company, I'll throw it out. Oh, we'll be there between 8 and 5. That's your whole day. So there's a way to manage that window. What else is there? What info do you want? I don't remember what we talked about on that one. What information you want? You didn't want all of this in every update. You really wanted this later on in the updates.
Was that a matter of the frequency? Because we were kind of wrestling with the how often to get the updates. And I think we were kind of, I don't know if it was we all agreed, but that the 2 hours, I don't know, that seemed like getting an update every 2 hours. But we realized there's kind of a balance between when you have that information, how accurate it is. But yeah, just kind of trying to, realize the balance between updating people too soon.
Oh, no, this is an HQ brain teaser here. If you, I guess you hit stop, you don't want any more messages, that it won't stop you in other categories, that it just stop you in the category of an outage, and it doesn't wipe you out of the total system. Now you got to go back and put all that input back in there. So I really want to stay in these 3, but not that one. So I guess HQ did a good job of explaining that one to us. If prediction time changes, yeah, we answered that one. But boom, that's us.
Anybody have any questions for team number 1? All right, Kent, are you the spokesperson since you're, no? Who is your spokesperson? Oh, okay.
You want to be next to it?
Nope, I'm good. So I think similar to Team 1, we were familiar with using the outage map both on our phone and on the computer to check if our power was out, and even drilling down to know, here's my address and, we're out. That's kind of the level of granularity that was very helpful to kind of refresh. So in terms of knowing how the power is down or off, like using that outage map was pretty good. One of the questions we talked about was how real time is it? And, as soon as the power goes out, I know I'm always the one pulling up the map, and if it hasn't updated yet, then I'm like, okay, wait a second, how do I notify? We similarly, I think to this HQ techno garble, we kind of said, how do you get to where if I'm really interested in an outage event and want to have all those updates that I can get them, but at the same time, if I'm out of town or at work and I'm like, yeah, let's just get the power on when you do, like I can opt out so it's not blowing up my phone all day. And I think specifically to your point, wanting to make sure that we're opting out really on an event by event basis, so that if you say I'm out for one, that you don't then never hear anything again.
Right, like a temporary.
Yeah, temporary opt out. We also talked about, if you had your text set up and you had the app on your phone, are you getting multiple notifications, and will you have the ability to toggle them on or off so that you can maybe limit it to just one? And then we also talked about using social media and recognizing in both Nextdoor and Facebook that there's a lot of HOA kind of neighborhood chatter that pops up at an event like that. And so trying to make sure KUB could connect in to that type of group thread, so to speak, would be helpful. Is there more? Oh, yes, okay. Oh, yeah, so we got into the terms and what it meant, and, the black dots that might be the last to be served, and what that means for the single phase, and just, helping people understand when they see that big red dot versus the purple dot on the outage map, maybe what that means. Does anyone want to elaborate on that? I know that was kind of, you found yourself in the single phase black dot world a lot.
Certain line that is separated from the other ones, and that's why we're probably always less than 10, but as a result, we're probably always last on the list to get resolved. It never takes too long. But, yeah.
So just having additional communication about what the dots mean and what that might mean is in terms of order for you to be restored?
Yeah, well, I think for me, I think it's helpful to know, like, how long it's going to take. Not just that, that my power is out, but how long is that going to take? And it sounds like y'all have general information, but you have to be assessment. And so as soon as you know, okay, this is going to be longer than this, letting us know that, so that we can plan accordingly. Especially when it comes to Wi-Fi, or if I'm working from home, it's nice to be able to say, okay, well, this may take 2 hours. I'm going to go to Starbucks, or it's going to take 20 minutes. I'm just going to hang tight now. So.
We talked a little bit about if you had a planned outage, when and how we would like to receive that communication, and it's similar to the storm outage in terms of like method or, tool, but we kind of all thought like, well, if you know a week ahead, give us a week of lead time, but then remind us 24 hours in advance or the day before, because it'll dissipate from our brains. And then, again, just wanting to make sure people know how to find when they'll get fiber, because that was an exciting thing that we all want to know, so.
I think we kind of know how to find that out now.
Mhm.
Just to elaborate a little bit what Erin said about the HOA, like we have, and I think a lot of neighborhoods have their own personal closed Facebook group. But if there's someone at KUB that we can like accept to be a member, then, I will say every outage, whenever there's a street that's out, someone posts it, like, oh, are you out? And then that person could get tagged or read that and say, oh yeah, we know about it, expect 1 hour or whatever. And I think that would go a long way just to, for public relations to let people know that, so. And and it's easy to contact, like, so you could just contact someone and one of the administrators would let that person be part of the group and to respond. Did I miss anything?
Did you all get to the question about had experiences with other utilities, and if so?
Yeah, it was,
But we can't have,
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think any of us really had experiences
Yeah.
with other utilities around that.
I do,
But that-
it's been mostly just their maps, all I've done.
Right. But that kind of led us into talking about Nextdoor and Facebook in ways that you can communicate with the whole neighborhood, and that would be handy.
Great
You all
idea.
can talk, excuse me, I'll ask you a question. You all can talk about LA and some of that. Is this common, like the way we communicate?
Well, I don't know. My relationship with my utility, I was an advocate, so I had a close relationship and knew a lot of utility people, but as a customer, my landlady paid the bill. So they didn't know that I was a customer, and so I never got any of those communications. Yeah.
We learned a family secret. Barry he told us a family secret.
Uh-oh.
And we were totally just blown away and said, now we know. When the power goes out in your house for 10, 15 seconds and it seems like something just got zapped, and they're testing the line.
Uh-huh.
We did not know that.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so that was good to know stuff. Now I know where I have to reset my clocks and all that stuff.
Yeah, I got an old alarm clock too that actually plugs in.
So good stuff.
Grandpa's alarm clock. That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, y'all gave her a lot of good ideas, I think. That was a lot of good information for Tiffany. Our next meeting is going to be on May the 4th. And as you know, because of one of your suggestions, KUB has been researching funding opportunities related to the Federal Inflation Reduction Act. And they think they're going to be far enough along that they can share some information from the research they've been doing with you all in May. So that's an important topic, and we hope you all will be able to come. Any other questions or points or suggestions anyone has to make?
Thank you all very much for your feedback. It's very helpful to us.
You do a great job with it.
Yeah, thanks. We just want to make it even better. So thank you all.
All right, then I think our meeting is adjourned, and we will see you on May the 4th.
All right.